Real quickly before we jump into the video, if you guys are interested, I may be live streaming as you actually watch this video right now, live over on Twitch. Leave a link in the description below if you guys want to check that out, but if you guys want to, feel free to, but regardless, into the regularly scheduled content. So we've talked about it here once or twice on the channel before, but PlayStation 4 and Xbox One have different support than just PC along with it. PC isn't necessarily tethered only to the support that PlayStation 4 and Xbox One will have. So patches could be variably different for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One compared to PC, and today is another example here of that, because as of Tuesday, we got a title update for Xbox One and PlayStation 4 and PC. While some of those features have been withheld for timing restrictions, there's a slight update that went live yesterday for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and also another title update today for PC. So today we're gonna talk about this little surprise amendment to the update that we got on Tuesday, and some of the things that it did change and some of the things you can look out for, whether on Xbox One and PlayStation 4, or if you're on PC, some of the adjustments made there. So that said, let's start out with the overall global changes. So the first thing that was mentioned was that it improved melee attack hit registration. And this is gonna be something that is absolutely massive. I'm so glad that I don't have the knife on my dark matter to-do list just yet, because it is one that is really broken. I don't know if you guys have seen any clips around Twitter, Reddit, YouTube, wherever it may be, but hit registration for the combat knife is next to non-responsive right now. Whatever happened in Tuesday's title update really just messed with the hit registration for it, and so therefore you can be point blank and knife somebody. It's not even like it's a matter of a lunging issue. You can be right on top of somebody, your knife will literally be in them as your character model suggests, but you don't get credited for the kill. So unfortunately, that's something that has persisted. Apparently that's gotten better with this update that happened as of today for all platforms. So hopefully that's something that resolves all those issues. I've seen so many clips of it, and honestly, it makes me feel so bad, because while at first it's kind of laughable, it's like, wow, I can't believe that happened. When you compound that onto being something that happens almost every knife and melee attack, then it gets really upsetting. So hopefully that fixes everything out. I have not jumped on yet today to test out the knife all that much to see just how much it was addressed and possibly fixed, but that was something that they made a clear note of as for these patch notes. Next up on the list of adjustments is something a little more trivial, but it's definitely nice, and I saw a lot of people talking about this and asking for it throughout the community, but that is enemy attachment information in the kill cam. So when you take a look at multiplayer and you get killed by somebody and you watch the kill cam back to see where they were, how they killed you, it showcases the perks they're using and also their weapon, but not much more than that. But as of this update, it actually does add a little bit of the information about the attachments that they have on that weapon in the top right-hand corner of that kill cam. So you get a little bit more of an accurate representation of what ended up killing you and what was really on that build, and it's something that, again, doesn't really affect gameplay too much, but is a nice way to understand what you're going up against. And sure, it might be a little bit more trivial, but it's definitely a nice addition to see. The final thing on the multiplayer side of this here dealt with a little bit of a camo glitch, which from discussion that I've seen really kind of only revolved around dark matter and an exploit on how to get that on every single weapon, even if you didn't have it equipped or actually unlocked. Personally, I have no knowledge of this, so I couldn't tell you how to replicate this glitch, not that it's even available at the moment anyway, but that exploit was patched and should no longer work anymore. Now, I don't know if this is something they're going to be banning players for the offenses here of this. I know that that's something they've done previously in older games, but this is really the first time I've seen anything about this in this game. So as for any after action that will be taken, I couldn't tell you, but that's something that if you ended up using this dark matter, gold, or diamond camo glitch, you shouldn't be able to do that anymore based off this update. Swapping gears now and going over to a little bit of the zombies side, this is something that had a little bit more stability fixes and improvements granted with this update. Now, this compounds on what we already knew of on Tuesday, and again, there's still some very specific and very fine-tuned things that were adjusted here at this, so you may not experience any of what was happening with this, or maybe you have, but I'll leave the link down there in the description below instead of reading off the dozen or so zombie-specific fixes out of this, but that's something that, again, more compounding on a Tuesday, which is always great to see this progressively push forward to hopefully a more stable build for zombies players. The final thing globally comes down to some Blackout stuff, in which they updated character descriptions for the Ranger, Airborne, Frogman, Steel, and Battle-hardened characters to make sure that players knew that you unlock those by simply ranking up your Echelon rank. Now, your Echelon rank is comparable to your multiplayer rank for those that don't play Blackout. All you gotta do to rank that up is get kills, get challenges, or end up winning the match, and different placings, top 10 and top 5, also factor in as well and give you bonuses even if you win, so it ends up coming down to a few hundred merits, which come from those factors that we just mentioned, and that's how you end up making up your Echelon rank, but that's how you unlock those characters. But also, interestingly enough, is the final 4 character missions were actually unlocked at some point yesterday. As of Tuesday's update, it wasn't unlocked. At the moment, we ended up getting the Mason, Woods, Menendez, and Reznov character missions, but the final 4 of Nikolai, Takiao, Richtofen, and Dempsey, those were still locked up as of Tuesday. But yesterday, as of when we put up our character guide, I had a bunch of people telling me in the comments that these ones were now actually unlocked, and having checked later last night and still into today, they actually are unlocked. But the curious thing is that I haven't seen any mention of how to do these just yet. No hints on the quest so far, but of course, once some stuff comes out, if you guys are interested, I'll definitely make another quest guide for those. You guys seem to enjoy yesterday's legacy character guide, so gladly get on top of those, but those are now unlocked as well, so maybe get to hunting. Now here's where we start to shift over into what may not affect a lot of you, but PC specific stuff, because as we mentioned again, PC is getting a little bit more support and some specific tuning just for that platform throughout the year. And again, coming back to it, it's kind of curious to see just how much this might shift from the baseline that is Black Ops 4 on console towards the end of the year. Right now, it's probably still a very small fork in the road, but I'm curious to see how far this goes later as the year progresses. But there are a bunch of different stability fixes with certain components for different builds, and all things considered, there's some interesting little adjustments here with new keybinds for stance up and jump, and stance down, new ADS sensitivity, the ability to remove hit marker visual and or sound if you want that, but that's all user end stuff. As for the things that actually affect gameplay, there's actually been a decent bit of weapon tuning for the specific PC builds. For the SMGs, we saw the SOG 9mm actually had a hip-fire spread increase, so a nerf to how powerful it is with the hip-fire playstyle. The Spitfire had an adjustment with its hip-fire spread being increased as well, and it also slightly reduced the hip-fire bonus granted by the laser sight attachment. So overall across the board, hip-fire on the Spitfire is just generally worse than what it was before. The Cordite as well had its hip-fire spread increased, so a nerf there as well. The tactical rifles of the Auger DMR and ABR 223 were up on deck for this round of weapon tuning. The Auger had a slight increase to the rate of fire, as well as the ABR had a reduction to the delay between each burst, which is, again, curious because that makes it closer in between the intervals there for when those shots can get off, and having that been increased on console, I'm curious to know how close this was to pre-patch ABR. And additionally, there was a sniper rifle of the Paladin HB50 adjusted on top of all the global changes that went live earlier in the week, but the Paladin ended up having an adjustment to the High Caliber 1 and 2 attachment, to which High Caliber 1 now added the shoulders to the one-hit kill zone, and High Caliber 2 now grants a one-shot kill to the stomach and above. Hands in lower arms have also been removed from that one-hit kill zone, which was interesting to think that they were actually a part of that to begin with, but from an engineering standpoint, it probably would make sense that it's in the one-hit kill range beforehand, because it's kind of all blocky hitboxes where it's probably easier to end up coding what multiplier is granted just by perhaps location on the body, so hip and up. But that's your weapon tuning here for PC in particular. Again, a couple of weapons changed out, and I'm seriously curious to see towards the next couple of months how much of a breakaway this is on PC versus console, because usually it's just applied down the board. And I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad thing, I'm just curious to see how different it really is in a few months' time. That said, there also were a few other specific PC changes. The final ones we'll discuss here dealing with Blackout in particular. One that really is interesting to me is that you can now close a supply stash with the interact key while looting it. So this might become an interesting bait meta for Blackout games, because if somebody sees a closed supply stash, they may be more inclined to check it out. I know that if I'm, say, in a top 10, top 5 situation, and I see a supply crate in a field or something, and I drive past it and I see that it's open with my car, then I don't even stop. I don't even go anywhere near that. There's probably somebody lurking, maybe using that as bait, but if it's closed, that changes the entire dynamic of how that situation plays out. I may be more inclined to check it out. I may be more inclined to think that, wow, maybe I am a little safe here. Maybe there's nobody watching that. So adding this is definitely an interesting part to the Blackout meta, and I'm curious to see if this will make its way over into console. And real quickly, a brief note is that something that is going to make it onto console that has been confirmed, not in this update or anything like that, but something that was addressed by Treyarch in a Reddit post, is that auto run will actually be a feature coming to console as well. That's been there on PC, but this will be something that is available on console very soon in the next update, perhaps within Black Ops 4. But the final thing that was adjusted with PC and with this update in particular was that this apparently resolved an issue where players could use a trauma kit before the game began to start with 200 HP when you actually jump out of the helicopter. The way this worked was that when the announcer ended up saying blackout and your game would then dim, if you started applying that trauma kit at the exact moment that the announcer said blackout, you'd end up having that go the entire way through that sort of fade to black transition, and then you'd start the match with 200 HP. But the funny thing to me now is that this this has been air quote fixed at least 3 to 4 times now. I remember seeing this in a handful of the patch notes for multiple title updates since this happened. About 1 to 2 weeks after launch is when this started coming out, but I'm curious to see if it will actually stay fixed this time, or if I'm gonna be able to hop on with a squad mate later tonight and see that when I jump out of the helicopter, they have 200 HP. I don't exactly know if that's gonna be the case, but here's to hoping it's actually fixed, because while it might not be too game breaking, that is something that 50 extra HP in an early game gunfight can honestly interpret to you surviving and ultimately making it out of early game if you land and have a gunfight right in front of you right off the bat. So that's honestly huge that this is something that was persisting through all these updates throughout all this time. So definitely curious if it will stay fixed. Honestly, I think there has to be an easier way, maybe just like remove trauma kits from the starting area. I don't know if that's possible or something that would be even harder to do because all the loot spawns in early game. I don't know exactly what the fix would be, but I'm just hoping that it is fixed out. That said, that is the update here as of the past day and a half and what happened today. So let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. Is there anything in particular you are hoping was fixed that may or may not have been fixed? Is there anything you're looking forward to in an upcoming update? Whatever it is, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you drop a like down below. And if you are also new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Black Ops 4, multiplayer, Blackout, zombies. We got you covered with the best of updates, news, information, tips, tricks, best class setups, you name it, we got you covered here on the channel. So if any of that interests you, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing. If you guys also want to follow me over on Twitter and Instagram, those are the best places to get connected outside of YouTube. Practically live on both those. So those links are in the description below if you guys want to get connected a little bit further. That said, thank you guys all so much for watching. My name's been Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.